Okay, this is a tutorial on how to create a Barcelona chair. So here's two images of what a Barcelona chair looks like from the front and from the back. And you can see that it's got a chrome frame, and then it has a kind of leather straps around the frame, and then the padded sitting part. So we'll start with the frame. And so in Max, we're going to use our shape line tool. And in the left viewport, we're going to start to create this. Now, before I do that, actually what I need to do is create a reference box so that I'm getting the size right. So I'm going to create a box in the top viewport. And I'm just going to make it, I guess the length of a Barcelona chair is about, I would say about 70 centimeters. And the width would be about 60. And the height will probably be about 90 centimeters. Okay. Let me just adjust that a little bit. Maybe make the length a little bit longer and the width a little bit wider. Okay. So I'm not working according to any specific measurements here. So I'm going to right click to drop the tool, and I'm going to right click on my select and move tool and center it on the scene. And then I want this reference box just to be frozen and see-through. So I'm going to right click, object properties, freeze, see-through. Okay, so that's my reference box. So in the left viewport, I'm going to zoom into that box, and I'm going to create the armature to begin with. So my line tool, and the kind of back support of the chair starts off as an arc, so it's going to come down. I'm just dragging here and then releasing, and then I'm going to go down here and drag and release, and then right click to make that. And then the other one, let me just switch to my reference photo, is kind of like an S shape. So it starts off straight like that, and then it'll go up. I guess I can go all the way here, and then drag out like that. Okay, I'm going to drop the tool, and I'm going to switch to my modify tab and go to vertex mode, and I'm going to make some adjustments here. So I want this to be a little bit flatter, and then this part I think can probably come down a little bit. Okay. All right. Let's have a look at the picture again. So now we have supports at the top, at the bottom, and at the front, which joins the two sides. So what we're going to do is I'll select the original spline, and in perspective view, so I can see what's happening, I'm going to attach it to the other spline. So I'm going to click on attach, choose the other spline, and I also want these to be less chunky, so I'm going to go to interpolation and put adaptive on. Then I'm going to move them so that they are at the edge of this box, and I need to reference that in the front viewport. Okay, so I'll move that across there, and then I'm going to make a copy. So holding shift, I'm going to drag a copy to the other side, and we'll just make it a copy, not an instance. Okay, so what we now have is that. Now at this stage I can actually hide my original box shape. Now we need these two copies to be attached to each other. So again in geometry, attach, so they're both part of the same item. And now we need to put in some slats going across. So I'm going to go to spline. I'll uncheck attach here. And I'm going to, let me just figure this one out. Oh no, I need to actually go to line, and then I need to go to create line. I need to snap to the vertices, so I'm going to go to my snap tool, right click on it, and make sure vertex is the only option on, so that it snaps there. And I'm going to click there, and then say yes, I do want to weld those together. And then at the front here, I'm going to do the same. Click there, and yes. Okay, so now I've got that going on. Now I need to attach across here. So I need to probably look at this. I need it to be about there. So I'm going to click there, then across there, and then right click to make it. Okay. Alright, so that looks good. I'm going to right click to drop the create line tool, and I now need to add a sweep modifier to this. So you find that, and let's just adjust the thickness. In fact, I need a different profile here, so let's go and have a look at our profiles, and let's just choose tube, and then adjust our parameters here. So we need it to be quite a bit smaller. And let's see. I actually think bar is better than tube. Okay, let's go and have a closer look here. So we need this to be flatter. Okay. All right, that looks okay. There are a few places like this corner here where it looks funny, and that's because the points are not welded there. So let's just take our vertex sub-object and drag over those 2 points and choose weld. Okay. That sorts that one out, and we've got another one up here as well. So same thing again, drag over those points and weld. Oh, that didn't seem to do anything. Let's just check again. Ah, that's better. All right, so that's actually pretty close to what I want. Okay, this bar here should actually have a different sort of angle. Now I can't really do that with the sweep modifier on a spline. So this is a situation where I need to actually go in to the edit poly sub-object level. So I'm going to add an edit poly modifier. I'm going to put F4 on so that I can see my sections. And I'm going to go to polygon mode, and I'm going to select and grow my selection so that I've got all the parts of that bar selected. And now in my left viewport, I'm going to need to rotate that bar. So let's just do that. And then we'll just move it a little bit. In fact, I've got snapping on here. I want that off. Okay, that should be good enough. click away. Okay, that's actually pretty nice. So that's the basic frame of the chair done. Next, we're going to move on to the leather straps that connect all these different bars together. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into the top slat here, and in my edit poly modifier, I'm going to go to edge mode, select one of these edges and choose a ring. Okay, and then I'm going to go to my connect settings, and I want to create some slats here. So let's just have a quick look at the Barcelona chair here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slats. So let's put in segments here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we need another 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'll just bring them in a little bit. Okay, and accept that. All right, now the problem here is that they kind of flay out at the top, and that's because of these corner pieces here. So in order for me to fix that, I'm going to have to, I'll go into my front viewport, and I'll zoom into there and switch to vertex mode. And I'm going to select these top verts, and then I'm going to go to non-uniform scale, and I'm going to scale those in so that they are vertical instead of flaying out. Quite difficult to get it exact, but that should be close enough. Okay, now we need to repeat that process with this middle bar. So I'm going to go to edge mode, select one edge, ring, and then connect settings. It should remember my last settings, and in this case they are straight, which is fine. And then I'm going to say OK. And then for the front as well, select one edge, ring, connect settings. And again, this one's flayed out, so I'll have to look at that in my top viewport and switch to vertex mode, and we'll have to use our scale tool just to straighten those up. Okay. All right, so that's so far so good. I also just want to call this frame at the moment and just give it a neutral color. All right, so now what I need to do is do some bridging here. So across the top here, I'm going to go to polygon mode, and I'm going to zoom in here and select every alternate polygon. So let's just go to the select object tool, and then just holding control, I'm going to select across here. Okay, so that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is good. And then I'm going to go down here and select the same, still holding control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then I'm going to click on this button, bridge. And what it does is it creates those slats running in between there. We'll come back and make some minor changes to those, but at this point in time, those are fine. Then we're going to repeat that process here. So I'm going to select okay, and then the same polys here. Whoops, it's a bit difficult for me to see. Okay. and then bridge. Okay, so now these need a little bit of body to them. So what I'm going to do is select these polys. Okay, and I'm just going to use the extrude settings. Just extrude them out a little bit. So it kind of gives the impression that there's some kind of like leather connection there. And I'll do the same over here. In fact, I'm going to do this all the way around on the top so that it gives the impression of a kind of leather strap going around this bar and connecting on the other side. Let's just check that we've got the right settings here. Okay, I think I need to choose local normals. That's it. Okay. All right, so we've got that kind of result, and then here we've got that done, and then over here we need to do the same. And we'll do the same extrude. Okay. All right, so those are our leather straps. And the next stage is to move on to doing the actual soft part. So let's have a look at the original image. And we can see that we have a bottom cushion with some kind of dimples in it and a top a back cushion. So let's do the bottom cushion first. We can probably do a bit of recycling here and use the same cushion twice just to save a bit of time. So let's start with a box shape. So primitives, and we'll just draw out a box. And we'll make some adjustments in a moment. I just want to position it first. So always try and do that in your orthographic views, like left and front. So I'm going to take this and position it. And obviously now we need to make some adjustments to the length and the height. Maybe the length needs to be a little bit more. Okay, and let's just rotate it a little bit. Whoops, that was bad. Do it like this. Okay, and then we can go to our front viewport. And we can make sure that this is probably a little bit wide. Okay, that's about it. All right, so now we need to apply an edit poly modifier, and we need to do some editing to this. So edit poly, and I'm going to go to edge mode. And I'm going to create some additional geometry by clicking on one edge, choosing ring, and then connect settings. Okay, so let's put in lots of geometry here. Let's just make that 20. Okay, and then we'll select and ring the other way and do the same thing. And then for the sides, we maybe don't need as much, but let's ring around there and let's connect, and let's just set this down to 2. Okay, I think that should be all right. Okay, we're going to go to vertex mode, and I'm not going to follow exactly the number of indentations the image that I showed you has. I'm going to make it up myself. So let's just count in 4 by 4. Okay, if you're organized, you'll actually make sure you put in the right number of segments. I might come up a bit short here, so let me just do that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that happens to have worked out quite well. And then we'll carry on going 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll just keep going. Okay, and the front is, I think I'm going to not do another dimple here because it's going to be kind of off there. So I think I'll leave that. And then I'm going to go to soft selection and make some changes to the fall off values. Too high at the moment. Let's push it up to about there. Change our pinch value so that we get more of a point. And then we're going to drag down to create our dimples. Okay, and exit vertex mode. All right, so that's the beginnings of it. Let's apply a turbo smooth modifier. Gives it a nice soft look. And then we just need to put in some kind of piping to make it look finished. So I'm going to apply another edit poly modifier. And in edge mode, I'm going to go around and select some edges here. So holding control, okay, and then I'm going to go around the edge here. So okay. I think that's actually enough. Maybe we should do the bottom edge as well. Okay, I can't see what I'm doing here, so I'm just going to go out of there, right click and say hide unselected. Go back to edge, and I can carry on selecting. Okay, I think that's everything I need. So I'm going to go down to the edit edges, and I'm going to say create shape settings, make sure it's on linear, and I'll just call this seat piping, and OK. So now I can go to that seat piping object, and I can enable in renderer and enable in viewport the rendering, and I'll just bring down the size of that piping a little bit. In fact, let's make it rectangular. Whoa, okay, bring that down. I need to zoom in here and see what's happening. This is not looking great. That's better. Okay, that's much nicer looking detail. Okay, and I now need to, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to collapse this down to an editable poly. So I'm going to say editable poly, and I'm going to make it standard gray. And then I'm going to take the box, which is the seat, and I'm also going to collapse that down. Collapse all, yes, and I'm going to make that the same color. And I'll call it seat padding. Okay, and let's put F4 off and see what we've got. Okay, that looks pretty decent. So now I'm going to unhide, so right click and unhide all, and then go back and just hide my original reference box. Okay, so that looks fine. And we're going to recycle this for the back as well. So I'm going to go to my left viewport, and we need to attach the seat padding to the seat piping, so it's all one object. So I'll select seat padding, and I'll say attach, and I'll click on seat piping. So we've got one object now, and then drop the attach tool. And then I'm going to hold down shift, make a copy, and I'll call it seat back. And I need to rotate that. Okay, and we need to scale it a little bit. Now the problem here is I don't want to scale it like this because I'm going to get that result, which is not what I want. So I'm going to go to my reference coordinates, and I'm going to say local. Okay, and now when I scale it, it's scaling on the right axis. Okay, and then let's just position it in there. And let's inspect it. Okay, so it's not perfect, but I think it's a pretty decent replica of the Barcelona chair. So the last step is to set our material IDs for the different parts. Okay, so if we have a look at the original picture, we can see that the seat of the Barcelona chair is a kind of satin leather finish, black, and that the leather straps are a slightly shinier black leather, and then the rest of the frame is chrome. So there's not that much we need to do here, because when we get to apply materials later on in the module, the actual padded parts are just one material, which will be that sort of matte leather. So it's only really the frame that we've got to set material IDs for. So I'm going to hide the two seat parts, and with the frame I'm going to go into polygon mode for the top edit poly modifier, and I just need to select the straps. So I'm making sure that F4 is on so I can see my polys. I'm going to select one poly and then hold down shift and select another one, and it should run around, but it hasn't. So let's just try that again. So I'll select one poly here and then hold down shift and select another one. There we go. Okay, so you see the way it runs all the way around, following the topography of that set of polys. So now holding control and then shift, control, shift, and carrying on around. So that's the leather. Now we need the edges as well here, so I can probably do that just by, because I've got back facing off, I can just hold down Control and just drag across there to get all of those edges there. Okay, that worked out fine. And then here, again, holding Control, get all those edges, and then there's just a couple more here that are a little bit more tricky to get for this material, and those are these ones here. Okay, so I'll probably speed this up so that you don't have to watch me doing this. It's a little bit tedious, but sometimes you just have to be patient and you just have to be very careful and thorough with your selections. Okay, so that took a little bit of time, but you just have to sometimes, there's no quicker way. Right, so I've got all the straps polygon selected, so in my polygon material IDs, I'm going to set that to an ID of 2, and I'm going to say, under Edit Geometry, I'm going to say Hide Selected, which means that the rest that's left here is the chrome part. So I'm just going to drag over that, make sure it's all selected, and I'm going to set the ID of that to 1. Okay, and then I'll unhide all, click away, and let's just test that. So I'll set my ID to 1, put clear selection on, and I'll say select ID. And there we have our chrome, and then I'll set it to 2 and say select ID, and there we have our straps. Okay, so that's setting the material IDs. I now need to unhide all. I can get rid of the original box object, and I can select all 3 parts of this Barcelona chair and group them and call it Barcelona Chair. Okay, and then we'll return to this later on in the module to apply materials and lighting and rendering and so on. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and see you next time.